Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Embrace the Madness. This is Madeline, your host. This is just a podcast about living intentionally and creating your reality and learning how to do all the things. So this past week, we did kind of a recap of everything we've talked about thus far and a little kind of New Year's reflection. Just totally looking back on our journey, acknowledging our growth over the past year, getting really excited for next year, cool stuff like that. So this week, we're going to talk about my journey with self-care and how it wasn't always sunshine and flowers and ice cream and candy and where I am now in my journey. We're also going to talk about why I think it's important for living intentionally, and then we're going to see where we're headed with the podcast. So without further ado, let's get into this episode. So I've not always been this bubbly and positive and happy and, stuff like that. There was a time when I was super negative and didn't respect myself, didn't respect my boundaries. I have low self-esteem, low confidence. You get the idea. And so for a long time, these feelings that I had about myself were fostered through a really long relationship that I had. And it's not that anything was like bad or horrible, but there were just instances where I was told I was too sensitive and things that just kind of affirmed what I already thought about myself. And I just had no idea what I was doing to myself by staying in that. And so for a lot of my young adult life, that was just my mindset and my environment. And so it was right before the relationship ended and I got a new job. And that was probably the coolest, best thing that could have ever happened to me. It was just this environment of positivity and hospitality, true, genuine hospitality, and caring about our guests on just this whole other level. And I was just getting out of that relationship and things just started blossoming. And that's when I got really into books. I had also, as you know, switched my major to psychology. So that's where I was at that point in my life. And I was learning so much and growing and just really falling in love with just all of this universal wisdom and taking care of myself and understanding that I'm not some crazy, I'm trying to think of how to explain it. Crazy just loner out in this world dealing with all this shit like everybody is. And just I'm trying to think of I guess a few of the books. I think that was probably like right. Oh, I think I graduated by then. I think. Now I'm like thinking about it. I think I did, but it was still around the same time when my scientific background was just being introduced to spirituality, and I was like, whoa. So just reading a lot of literature about that, and yeah, just really good books, and then just it was just really getting so good, and I was just finally happy with the way things were and happy with my life and stoked on this new job out of this toxic environment, and then I got into another relationship, probably a little too soon. And how I thought I was all, oh yeah, everything's gravy, everything's great. Granted, this was several years ago. Yeah, I just found myself looking at my life saying, how did I get here? I was just in this really, really, really good spot. And now I'm in this dark place again where I feel like I can't communicate and I feel like nothing I say matters. And if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. So I was just like bumming that I was there again. And sometimes there are people who need love so much and they're willing to take your love, but where they're at in their journey, they're not able to reciprocate and give that love that you also deserve. And I was told that self-care was selfish when trying to finally respect my boundaries. And I just remember kind of just sitting there wondering what the hell was just said to me, because I had just gotten into this whole idea that taking care of yourself is important and not selfish. And if you don't take care of yourself, no one will. And so I was just really confused at how someone could even think, have that idea. And I realized that I wasn't respecting my boundaries at all that whole entire time. And also realized how crucial boundaries are for self-care. And goodness gracious. And I maintained that respect for myself, and I am no longer in that relationship. And looking back, I mean, I know I needed that kind of in my life to show me these things, but it's just always funny when you're like, oh yeah, I'm growing. And then you're like, wait, you just took 2 leaps back. But I'm realizing that that's part of the process. And like I kind of mentioned in a previous episode, if none of this stuff ever happened, I wouldn't be here talking about it. So I really feel that it's super special and that I've had this experience and can share my experience and knowledge and hopefully wisdom with you guys and just spread the love. So then I was semi-irate that after realizing kind of how dare someone tell me that that's selfish? And so I do what I always do and get on my blog and type about it. And I began the self-care saga. It was just this acronym that I kind of created just out of reading about self-care and seeing what that meant. And so I made this acronym and was like, hey, so that's 8 letters. That can be 8 posts. And you can explore what you think that self-care means and how you, in your experience, have learned to cope with it. So if you ever want to check it out, I can link you in the description. But it's from my blog. And I will go over the acronym that I made. So for the first letter S, that's about set your boundaries. A huge, huge, huge crucial point of self-care that I'm learning and mastering. 2 is express yourself, or express your authentic self. And that's really important because when you're living behind a mask, you're not taking care of yourself and you're living for other people. And so you're kind of on the back burner, and expressing yourself will let your true color shine. L is for learn to love your darkness. And that's where I kind of go into accepting this negative part of ourselves just because that's part of kind of the collective, and it's just a balance, and it's still who you are and still contributes to your wholeness, but just kind of exploring that topic because it's kind of scary sometimes. The F is for forget everyone else. I think I was going through this time when I just realized how much I care about what other people think, and so forget about everyone else. Their opinions don't matter. C is cultivate gratitude, and that's a huge practice that I feel like has transformed my life. I am so grateful to be grateful and so grateful to be aware of myself and these things and to be able to share this experience. And I think that when we fall down this rabbit hole of lack and feeling like we don't have enough, gratitude reminds us of the things that we do have and can get more centered. A is allow yourself to be human. This was a huge deal for me. I like I've mentioned, I'm a perfectionist. I strive for perfect, and I've had to tell myself that that doesn't exist. I mean, it does, but we can't see that right now with this consciousness, but really just allowing myself to make mistakes and hold this compassion and space for myself in the meantime. Things are getting so much better, but we're all humans. I talked about that the second episode, but we're all humans and we can't like tear ourselves apart because of that. We're just going to do human shit, you know? R is for respect the process, which I actually just finished writing a few months ago because it's taken me a long time to trust in the natural, universal process of life. But I think that's important because if you resist kind of how things are, then you're going to get stuck. And I am so stoked to say that I haven't finished even this last blog, Eat to Nourish, but that's also taken me a long time to come to terms with too. But I'm realizing that when we can feed our bodies with organic material and just not all the yucky stuff, and we can really just create this mentally and spiritually but also physically balanced person with which to explore the world. And I think that's an important part because I grew up eating so many cookies and so many Dr. Peppies that I can't even believe it. But yeah, like, why do you think we're depressed? Because we're eating all this stinking sugar. But anyways, stay tuned for that blog post. But yeah, I just created this whole acronym because I thought that it was what I needed to kind of check off the list to realize, okay, you're not taking care of yourself. Let's look at these things. Where are you now kind of situation. And I feel like right now I'm in a really good spot. I'm still kind of realizing that I still have a long way to go, but I'm in a really good spot. And so just looking back last year, I'm in a different spot. I've been growing. I've been learning about myself. I have truly just put my needs and my goals and things on the forefront and focusing on that. And dude, like, I can't recommend anything else higher. It's been so transformative, and I'm finding myself to be at peace and just really okay with the way things are. So, like I said, I'm not perfect, and even just with the stress of Christmas and all of this holiday stuff, I think there's just like some weird energy going on because I feel like everybody's like, oh, I'm not doing cool right now. But staying afloat when all these things are kind of coming at you, and it's hard. It's super hard. It's super hard. But I think that even just the first step of awareness and creating this space where, hey, you're worth something and you deserve to be taken care of. I think it's a great goal. And what I have to come back to when I am feeling low, I remember gratitude and I remember self-compassion. And when you can be grateful, you can acknowledge abundance, and then everything is kind of just, okay, it's not a big deal. Self-compassion, it sucks to feel yuck, and we get so hard on ourselves too about being yuck, but we're just learning, we're just growing, and we're humans, remember? So I'm sure you're probably wondering, okay, well, what does this whole self-care thing have to do with living consciously? Why do I have to take care of myself? I don't have time. And I will counter you with that because I think that when we don't take care of ourselves, we don't have our dreams and goals prioritized. And a lot of us, which I'll explore in the darkness episode, but a lot of us don't think we deserve it, and we don't deserve to reach those dreams and goals. And so we do things based on what we think other people will like, what will make them proud. And that's never going to fulfill us because it's not for ourselves. And we'll be living this whole life wondering why there's kind of this fog. And I truly think it's because you're not expressing yourself, and you're not honoring yourself. And this whole past year has taught me that living my truth is really just the biggest way to promote self-care. And it promotes living with intention, because when we can speak our truth, we're setting our boundaries and we're creating this environment where we can do what we want and take care of ourselves and respect ourselves. And I just think that expressing ourselves is just a natural way that the universe expresses itself. And blocking that, we're not taking care of ourselves. And when you think about all these things, you realize like, oh God, I need a lot of work in a lot of places. And that's what I felt like. And a lot of my issues is just thinking that I didn't deserve to take care of myself. And it's been a huge obstacle because I've had to learn that I do, and I do deserve these things. And my life is this complete 360. I'm totally in a space where I never thought I'd be. I never thought I'd have a podcast. I never thought, by the way, I'm playing my first DJ set this Saturday. So like, I never thought I'd be doing that. I always thought I was going to be doing some math equations or something crazy, but it's really taking care of myself is making me so happy and so proud of myself. And I don't see the sense in blocking that and just living so sad and just living a life of pain, because you do deserve to take care of yourself. And there's no suffering, yes, is inevitable, and I think that's just part of being a human, but it doesn't have to suck that bad. And when we can create that just loving and caring environment for ourselves, with ourselves, it's like they roll out the red carpet and you're just like, boom, boom, I got this. So I'm highly, highly, highly recommending that you start looking at what you're doing with your self-care journey. And are you taking care of yourself? Are you respecting your boundaries? And are you doing what you're meant to do? Do you talk to yourself in a kind way? Do you talk to yourself in a negative way? Do you not talk to yourself? I think that's totally fine, but also somebody told me that everybody talks to themselves. I'm just kidding. But seriously, what do your friends look like? Are your friends kind to you? How's your job treating you? Have you thought about what makes you happy? Have you thought about how your career is tied to kind of your purpose, and are you doing what you want to do? And also remembering kind of just this whole theme throughout to stay compassionate if it's not what you want to hear. And it's okay that you're not in a place where you feel gratitude. And it's okay that you don't understand half this stuff. But understand that it's a journey, and you're spending your whole entire life with yourself. And it's your responsibility to take care of yourself. And yeah, it's a process, but the sooner you start and the sooner you begin to hold space for yourself and respect and honor yourself, the sooner you can start living your dreams. And at that point, it's kind of like you've mastered all, or the big boss, and you can go on to the next level. And when you know how to respect yourself, your outcome changes, and situations don't end the way they used to. And you're leaving situations feeling fulfilled and proud, and that's the goal. So I'm sure some ideas came about when you were listening to all this, and a lot of resistance I found was learning to appreciate my whole self, both sides, the good parts and the bad parts, because ourselves can't exist without both of those things. And it's important that we recognize that, because if we try to resist one or the other sides, then we're just going to be kind of lopsided and things aren't going to go down very well. So we'll talk about the whole self. We're also going to talk about why the bad is just as important as the good. The good is something to focus on or appreciate or only consider, but the bad is necessary, and the bad is part of your whole being. And we'll definitely get into that a little bit deeper. And I think something else that I struggled with was, well, I don't accept the bad or the good. And I never felt like I identified with the good parts of myself. And we'll get into maybe why you might feel like that, or, yeah. But you are awesome, and you do deserve whatever you want, and you're full of compassion and love. And it sounds like I'm talking into a mirror, but I'm talking to myself and to everybody listening. That's about it for this week. This is kind of like a quick little episode, but yeah, we're going to get into self-care over the next few weeks, and starting next week will be the beginning. And it'll kind of take us up until maybe March. So this should be a really fun segment. I think that these are things I've kind of mastered, but I'm still kind of like pulling back more layers with each one. So it'll be cool to go through these, kind of relive these again, because I explored a lot of them through my blog. And I'll link you with that in the description. And yeah, get to reading, get to listening, get to taking care of yourself, because you deserve it. I'm so here for it. 2020 is going to be awesome. Yeah. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk to you next time. This is Madeline with Embrace the Madness. Bye. Thanks again for tuning into this week's episode of Embrace the Madness. Don't forget to subscribe so you can learn to live your best life.